The forest had always been there, vast, indifferent, ancient. Locals called it the Black Hollow, though no map bore that name. It stretched for miles across the northern frontier, a sea of spruce and fog, where the wind whispered through the branches like a voice trying to form words. Hunter said it changed at night, that the trees seemed closer, the air heavier, and though no one could ever prove it, they swore the forest remembered those who entered and those who didn't return. Our story begins in the winter of 1951, in a remote mountain village tucked against the edge of that very forest. The Cold War had gripped Europe, and this region, isolated, forgotten, was caught between fear of men and fear of something older, something no one dared name aloud. The snow came early that year, blanketing the valley in silence. But the villagers said they could still hear it, a sound like breathing carried by the wind, low and rhythmic, like a whisper just beneath hearing. That's when the sightings began again. The first was a shepherd named Elias Novak. He'd taken his flock higher into the pass, against his wife's warnings. When he didn't return, a search party was sent the next morning. They found the sheep scattered, some dead, others missing. The snow was disturbed with deep grooves, like something heavy had been dragged. And at the center of it all lay Elias's coat, torn down the back. No footprints, no blood, just a coat and silence. Back in the village, people began locking their doors before sunset. The priest held extra masses, urging them to keep faith, but even he avoided walking home alone. Rumors spread that the whisperer had returned. The name dated back to their grandparents' time, to stories told by firelight about a thing that moved between trees and spoke with the voices of those it took. Parents would whisper the name to frighten children into obedience, but behind every tale there lingered something colder, a belief that it wasn't just a story, that something truly lived in the hollow. Weeks passed, and the soldiers arrived, a small detachment from the border guard, tasked with investigating strange activity reported near the forest. They were young city men, skeptical, hardened by drills, but untested by real fear. The locals met them with silence, offering little more than nervous glances. Captain Merrick, their leader, dismissed the rumors as superstition. He told his men to search the valley, mark the terrain, and report any signs of smugglers or partisans. But the villagers knew better. They had seen what came before the whisper, the snow that didn't melt where it stood, the frost that formed on inside windows, and the faint sound of someone calling your name when you were alone. The soldiers set camp near the tree line. The first 2 nights were uneventful, the forest calm under a blanket of snow. On the 3rd night, however, Private Raddick woke to what he thought was someone outside the tent, softly saying his name. At first, he ignored it, assuming one of the others was playing a trick. But when he unzipped the flap, no one was there, only the woods, motionless and dark. He swore he heard it again, closer this time, almost inside his head. By morning, he was pale, shaking, and begged the captain to move camp. Merrick ordered him to rest, blaming exhaustion. But that night, Raddick disappeared. They found his rifle by the riverbank, his boots still standing upright in the snow as if he'd stepped out of them mid-stride. No tracks led away. The men began to argue, fear turning them against each other. The captain tried to keep order, but even he could sense something watching from the woods. The air was different, quieter, as though the forest itself was holding its breath. Back in the village, the priest visited the soldiers, bringing food and prayer. He warned them not to enter the hollow after dark, that old things slept there, and that sound was their snare. If you hear it speak, he told Marek, do not answer. The captain scoffed, but that night he couldn't sleep. The wind outside seemed to carry words, faint, almost tender his own name, whispered as if by someone he'd loved long ago. He gripped his pistol and waited for dawn. By the 6th day, half the men were gone. Some vanished without a sound. Others were found wandering the woods in a daze, repeating strange phrases in languages they didn't know. The few remaining began carving charms from wood, copying the villagers' symbols. It didn't help. One morning, the camp was empty. No tents, no bodies, only the smell of iron in the air and the echo of wind through the hollow trees. When spring arrived, a new patrol was sent to investigate. They found traces of the soldiers' last fire, burnt almost to the dirt. Scattered around it were objects, dog tags, a broken compass, and what looked like a human jawbone etched with lines like writing. They brought it back to the village, but the priest refused to touch it. "It's a name," he whispered, "but not one we should ever speak." For years afterward, the valley remained abandoned. The government classified the area, citing unexploded ordnance and unstable ground. But travelers passing through at night still reported strange sounds, soft voices calling from the forest, sometimes in their own language, sometimes in another. And those who listened too long said the voice began to sound familiar. Locals still tell the story of the whisperer. Some say it was never a creature at all, but the echo of guilt, the residue of countless deaths in those woods during the wars. Others believe it was something older, a spirit that feeds on memory, luring the lost with the sound of their own regrets. Whatever the truth, they say it still walks when the fog is thick and the air is still whispering the names of those who once ignored the warnings. And every few decades, when the snow falls early and the valley grows quiet, someone swears they've seen movement in the hollow again, a shadow gliding between the trees, pausing as if listening. And if you stand long enough, if you let your breath slow and the silence settle around you, you might hear it too, that soft voice, distant at first, calling your name as though it knows you, as though it's been waiting all this time for you to answer.